Good morning, all our viewers. Today, we are having another PTM that is related to TDS. And for this purpose, we have with us Deepak Bolusariaji, a renowned chartered accountant and practicing especially in the field of TDS. And we have a moderator come speaker, Bibul Jain, who is going to support Deepak ji in this entire initiative. We have a special keynote address. CA Kamisha Shoni from Indore. She is presently serving third term in the Central Council and chairing the most important committee of the ICI, that is Professional Development Committee, and she is also chairing the Public Government and Financial Management Committee of the ICI. She served as Ethical Standard Board. She presently serving their vice chairperson. She is nominated to Committee on Government and Public Sector Enterprises Accounting of South Asian Federation. She earlier served as a Regional Council Chairperson and number of positions in ICI. We presently call her Senior Council Member because she is serving the third term in the Council. Thank you, Kamisha Ben, for joining us. Before I request Kamisha Ben to speak, and I am requesting Vice Chairman Sridhar Mopala to say something about the practical training module and the international conference which he is going to host in Hyderabad. We all wish to be there and invite the commission to the speaking.
Thank you, sir. A very good morning to all the students, the respected my two chairmen under whom I am working, Kamisha Madam and Sushil sir, and the BOS team, and today's faculties for the day, Deepak and the moderator Vipul. A very good morning to one and all. Though it's a Sunday, I know that it's a holiday time, but everybody took out the time. I personally thank you, all the people present over here, for taking out your valuable time for the student. So today is the 28th live webinar going. As said earlier, the council has decided now that everything has become a web-based, whether it comes to income tax, GST, MCA, everything, all the students of ICA should have that practical exposure. With that intention, this practical training module was introduced. And today is the 28th week, consecutive week. We have been doing on various topics like income tax, GST, MCA portal, Excel training, audit tools, and consecutive 28th week we are doing it. Ma'am, let me share. The response is so good from the students, and the feedback what we got is really amazing. On an average, 10,000 students plus are appearing on the live webinar, and subsequently on our DLH platform, again, thousands of students are really getting benefited out of this webinar. Lot of eminent faculties were present whose training and practical approaches has really changed the perception of the student. I should also thank the students for really taking out initiative and spreading the word, because the week-on-week basis, the way the things are improvising, that shows the keen interest of our students to learn on the digital platform side. And today is the topic TDS filing. All of you know, before we pay income tax, the TDS get deducted. So therefore, the knowledge of TDS and the filings on time, how important is that? Every student doing an article will be aware of it. And I'm sure that the experience of today's faculty, Mr. Deepak, will add a value to that, and students will be immensely benefited. And before I request Kamisha ma'am, let me share all the students. We are having an international conference on 2nd and 3rd of December at Hyderabad. It's a platform for you to know and interact with students across the country. And also eminent speakers will be present over. The perception of the profession today and going forward will be an opportunity for all the students to understand. So I request every student to kindly visit the ICA website, enroll for the international conference, and let's make it a grand success. So thank you very much for the day. I request Kamisha ma'am, because she is from the city. Sushil sir was saying she is the third consecutive time in the council. At the same time, she is from a city which got 6th consecutive time the cleanest city award. So ma'am, really proud of you and proud of Indore, and really happy to see your contribution. And you are leading both the important committees, PDC and Public and Government Finances, and the way there are changes that have taken place. Because recently in our CAG meeting, the Deputy C&AG was sharing the contribution by our the Government and Public Finances Committee. Before they thought, we gave the roadmap. So that is the extent of contribution Madam has made in a 3 consecutive term. I thank you, ma'am, for really taking out your time and really coming forward to share your valuable suggestions with the student. So request to take it forward, ma'am.
Thank you, Sridhar, and thank you, Chairman sir, for nice introduction. And also thank you for inviting me in that international conference. And definitely I would like to join that conference. So greetings of the day, everyone. Chairman, respected Sushil Goyal ji, and active and dynamic Vice Chairman Sridhar Mupala ji. The SSP Board of Studies has started this excellent initiative to ensure that the student not only gain knowledge about the provisions, but also be able to grasp the real life application of such provisions. So, and as informed by our Vice Chairman also, that this is the 28th webcast. So I would like to congratulate Chairman Sushil Goyal ji and Vice Chairman Sridhar ji for designing this entire series, and specifically for our article students. So today we have also with us respected speakers CA Deepak Golusaria ji and moderator CA Vipul Jain, BOS team, and a very warm welcome to all dear students to webinar on practical training module on practical approach to TDS filing. So dear students, TDS has been and will remain an integral part of income tax regime in India. As you all are aware, that the concept of TDS was introduced with an aim to collect tax from the very source of income. What you learn as a part of your course at the intermediate and the CA final level is very much linked with the practical and real life applications of the TDS provision in your offices. So therefore, the aim of this webinar as well is to provide you all a practical perspective to approach to the TDS provision. So while speaking strictly from the examination point of view, TDS provision are not only important, but you are also tested for the practical application of your knowledge through the case scenario based question also. So just I would like to say about this type of series, that this will be useful in your exams also, because that will correlate with your theoretical study to the practical approach. So coming on to the real life applications, at your office as well, you might have had certain experience with various type of software which either assist in the e-filing of TDS return or directly file the TDS return through income tax side. So certain type of IT knowledge also will be required. So in that sense, you will get knowledge related to IT, various software, IT-based softwares also. And either way, being digitally competent as a professional has become very important and vital in this modern era. So now, as you all might know, in today's session, you all will be learning about various forms for non-salary returns like 26Q, 27Q, 27EQ, and so on, along with the process of preparing the return, payment of tax, and much more. And apart from that, compliance work related to TDS, and what I heard about that, this SSB BOS has designed very well design of all type of practical provisions related to whether income tax, corporate law. So this is the series. In this series, that is, I would say that compliance part related to TDS provisions. And this will be useful not only in examination, but in practical life also. After becoming chartered accountant, this will be useful not only in area of practicing, but also in related to corporate in industry also. So TDS provisions are very important. And again, I would like to congratulate both the chairman and vice chairman for this designing for this series specifically for our article student. And so at last, I hope you all would have a good learning experience here today. And I wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. And I would like to thank Chairman, Vice Chairman for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to interact our students. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. Thanks for taking out your time and sharing your valuable words and experience for the students. Now I request Mita to kindly introduce our speaker for the day and take the session forward.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, and Commissioner ma'am and Chairman, sir. Now, students, proceeding on with the session today. So, we are inviting our keynote speaker, CA Deepak Bholuswaria, sir, who is a graduate and a fellow member of ICAI since 1998. And he's a partner in Messrs. Daksham and Company, LLP. He's also called as the IT man in North India CA Student Circle. So, and also he has been awarded with many awards, like NIRC has also awarded him for his contribution in seminars, as he's a great speaker who has spoken in various public forums. So I would wholeheartedly invite our sir to take on the session, please.
Thank you, Smita. Respected Sushil Goyal ji, Kamisha Soni ji, and Sridhar ji, my coordinator for the day, Vipul Jain, and all the students here, Vidhi Gupta also, and all the persons working tirelessly in the background to make this session successful. So, without much ado, I would like to straight away jump to my topic. So, let me share the screen. 2 seconds, please. So, is it visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
We can see it, sir.
Okay, great. So, as rightly introduced by our other dignitaries for the day, especially Kamisha Soni ma'am, that we are going to learn how to practically approach TDS, right? Till now, I've already been introduced by Smita. Thank you for that. So the question is, what is our today's objective, right? So before I jump on to what I'm going to share my thoughts with you guys, let's understand what you have learned till now. So in the previous session, which was taken by my colleague Vikas Jain, we had learned what are the basics of TDS, how this TDS ecosystem has evolved, what are the constituent of this TDS ecosystem. Information on PAN and TAN structure was shared by Vikas with all you guys, how to verify whether the PAN or TAN is correct or not, because there are certain principal basis which PAN and TAN are constructed. What is the role of challan and non-government deductor if we talk about the TDS ecosystem as such? What are the various due dates of TDS compliance, whether it is, if we talk about what is the due date for TDS deposit, what is the due date for filing of your TDS statements, or which is also called as TDS returns, what is the due date for issuance of Form 16A, Form 16, or any kind of TDS or TCS certificates. What are the various forms within the entire TDS system? Some of the forms I will be taking up today. I believe earlier Vikas had taken up the salary part, the 24Q part. Also, he had discussed about the interest and penalties and late fees if we don't comply TDS provision either altogether or on time, right? So what are the penalties, interest, and late fee a deductor is supposed to pay? And he also shared with you a demonstration on preparation and filing of 24Q return. So what is my agenda of today? Since we have already discussed the salary part, I will be taking up the non-salary part today. So first of all, we will understand and appreciate what exactly is the difference between the salary and non-salary TDS statement, and why these are the separate statement, why these are not a single statement. Why can't we file a single TDS statement for salary as well as non-salary, right? Because again, if we talk about non-salary, it is not one return. There are multiple returns also, right? Then what are the TAN-based TDS statement forms, which are 26Q, 27Q, and 27EQ. Actually, 27EQ is a TCS statement, But since we generally call TAN, so I have used the word TDS. So 27 EQ is basically about TCS, not TDS. TDS is not about TAN only. There are certain returns, there are certain statements which are based on your PAN, because in certain situations you are not required to obtain any kind of TAN, right? So these statement 26QB, 26QC, 26QD, E and F are also added recently. So we will a little bit of those returns we will also understand. Then in order to file any TDS statement, what is the kind of information, what are the kind of tools we require, right? Because you see, if we are going into a battlefield, we need to have all kind of tools with us. We need to prepare ourselves, because unless and until we are prepared, only fatal things will happen, right? So that's why what are those prerequisites, what are those requirements which I need to fulfill before I can even attempt to file my TDS statement. Then I will demonstrate before you how we can deposit a TDS challan, right? Since e-filing portal has started around new e-filing portal, I'm talking about version 2.0. It has started around 2 years back. And gradually, entire payment ecosystem is being shifted to the e-filing portal only. Because I believe Vikas might have given you the hint about Altas, but Altas is going to be grandfather very soon, maybe 6 months down the line. So I will be concentrating my efforts only on the e-filing portal, because which is going to be the norm in the future. Then how to prepare, how to e-file a TDS statement, which is a TAN-based statement. I will be taking up an example of 26Q. If you understand 26Q, 27Q and 27EQ are very much similar to 26Q. So if we understand 26Q, I don't think so that it will take much of an effort to understand 27Q or 27EQ. Then if time permit, we will also see how to place request for generation of Form 16 or Form 16A or Form 16B, as the case may be, and how to download those Form 16 or Form 16, or in simple words, TDS certificates. A very pertinent question always comes to my mind, or I should say, it is being commonly asked: is TDS purely a business function? Because even in CS circle, it is a misconception that TDS is a business function. No, my dear friends, TDS merely is not a business function. So simply because you are into business, it doesn't mean that only you have to comply with the TDS provisions. There are certain instances where even if I am not into business, I am still required to file or to comply with the TDS provisions. And those cases are salary. Very interesting. Section 192. Salary you had discussed in the last session. Even if you are not a businessman.
So sorry to interrupt in between, but your voice is too low.
Is it?
Yes, sir. So it's a bit low.
अब ठीक है?
Sir, better.
Okay. Okay. So we were earlier discussing about salary. So salary is not merely a business function, or salary TDS is not merely a business function. Even if you are not a business person, you are still required to fulfill salary TDS obligation. Obviously, it may not be applicable to everyone. But in certain situations, even TDS provision of salaries are applicable to a non-businessman, right? Again, sale of property. If let's say I'm selling a property of more than 50 lakh, right? So my buyer is supposed to deduct TDS under section 194 IA. So again, this is another example where TDS is not a non-business function. Similarly, if I have taken a residential property or maybe even a business property on a rent which is more than 50,000 of rent, which is more than 50,000, still I am required to deduct and deposit TDS under section 194 IB, and for that form is 26 QB. So again, even if I am not a businessman, I am supposed to deduct TDS and deposit it. Similarly, let's say I have constructed a house. I have given a contract to some contractor to construct that house, and the amount of consideration I am going to pay to that contractor is more than 50 lakh. So again, I am supposed to deduct TDS and deposit it under section 194M. And then section 195, which is applicable to businessmen as well as to non-businessmen. So if I have taken a house on rent from a non-resident, I'm supposed to deduct TDS under section 195. And I'm also supposed to take TAN, and I'm also supposed to file 27Q. So any kind of payments to non-residents where there is an income chargeable to tax in India, you are supposed to deduct and file your TDS statements. And recently 194S has also been introduced. Interestingly, 194S is such a section that in some cases TAN is required, and in some cases PAN is required. Can you hold for a sec, please?
Sure, sir.
Okay, so we have understood that TDS is not merely a business function. In this part, we will understand what is the difference between the salary compliance and the non-salary part of the TDS. So if we talk about TDS compliance based on TAN, so there are three forms. One is form 24Q, which is called as salary TDS return. We have another form which is called as 26Q, which is other than salary, but payment only to residents. And then form 7Q, which is a TDS return for payments being made to non-residents. Now, the question is why three forms are required? Because the way these payments function, these TDS functions, that's why we need to have different kind of forms. Why? First, if we talk about form 24Q, salary TDS is deducted based on date of payment. Though the general principle as far as TDS is concerned, it is payment or credit, whichever is earlier. But salary is an exception. First of all, the basic difference between the salary and non-salary is that the TDS, as far as salary is concerned, it is based on date of payment. So only when the salary is paid that the salary TDS provisions are triggered. But not the case with non-salary, right? If again I talk about salary, if that salary is taxable in India, whether the person receiving is a resident or a non-resident is immaterial. I need to deduct TDS and it has to be reported. So that's why again a dedicated form has been made. If we talk about rate of TDS, if as far as salary is concerned, there is no predefined rate of TDS. If let's say I am paying a salary of 7 lakh rupees to Mr. A and 7 lakh rupees to Mr. B also, there may be a situation that there is no TDS as far as Mr. A is concerned, and there is some amount of TDS as far as Mr. B is concerned. That's the beauty of it. And the rate of TDS, it keeps on fluctuating. Because let's say today I'm paying a salary of 7 lakh, the rate of TDS might be different. Tomorrow I'm paying a salary of, let's say, 15 lakh to the same person, the rate of TDS will change. Why? Because the TDS on salary is based on the total income of the recipient. So I need to first compute what is the total income of the recipient, obviously taking into account salary or any other income which is disclosed by that recipient. So based on that, I will first compute what is the total amount of tax which that person is going to pay to the government. And basis that, I will compute my TDS rate or the amount I am going to deduct over a period of 12 months. And that is why there is a requirement of annual true up within the salary. So why I'm insisting on this issue is that if let's say I'm paying a salary of 7 lakh to Vipul today, annually I'm talking about, and tomorrow there is a hike for his salary, I need to true up my entire computation of the tax. And by the end of the year, the entire amount of TDS needs to be deposited. It may be possible. Let's say, take an example. Let's say on 7 lakh of rupee, I have computed that, okay, 12,000 rupee TDS needs to be deducted in the entire year. What I will do is, I will merely divide this 12,000 rupees with 12, and every month I will keep on deducting 1,000. So let's say by the end of September, 6 months have already elapsed. So by the end of September, his salary is increased. So from 7 lakh, it has jumped to 10 lakh. So now basis 10 lakh, now his entire years in TDS comes out to, let's say, 24,000 rupee. It's just an hypothetical figure. So it means that I need to deduct 2,000 rupees per month. Wait. You see, till now, I have already deducted 6,000. So out of 24,000, I will first reduce this 6,000 rupee, and the balance 18,000 needs to be deducted every month in the subsequent period. So that's how salary works. But if I talk about 26Q, I am not bothered about whether that person whom I'm going to pay, whether he's going to earn out of it or not. I simply need to deduct TDS at a standard rate, which is prescribed under respective sections. If I talk about section 194J, rate is either 10% or 2%. 194C, rate is either 1% or 2%. Section 194I, rate is either 10% or 2% depending on the nature of the payment. So I simply need to deduct TDS at a standard rate as far as Form 26Q or non-salary payment to residents are concerned. But now let's jump on to 27Q, non-residents. Now, again, since the person with whom we are dealing with are non-residents, so they have different kind of taxation structure in India. That person may opt for DTAA benefit, right? So if let's say that same person is opting for DTAA benefit, I need to consider DTAA also. So a DTAA rate in a particular treaty might be different from some other treaty. In USA, it might be different. In Australia, it might be different. In Japan, it might be different. As far as standard rate is concerned, in India, it might be different. So the rate as far as 27Q is concerned or payment to non-residents are concerned under Section 195, they keep on changing. It depends on the situation to situation. Though it's a little like salary also, but salary is on a different footing altogether. And 27Q is on a different footing altogether. So a business payment, it might be deducted at the rate of 40% in India, or there may not be any TDS at all. So there are certain situations where you need to look at what is the rate I'm going to deduct at, as far as the payment to non-resident is concerned. So that's why there is a variable rate. Again, if we talk about Form 26Q as well as 27Q, there is a concept of lower deduction certificate. So what is a lower deduction certificate? So let's say I am a recipient of an income. You are the payer of an income. You are required to deduct, let's say the payment, I am a chartered accountant. Let's say you are required to deduct TDS on that payment at the rate of 10%. I am a chartered accountant. But my income, it is not that much that it needs to be, that the TDS on that income needs to be deducted at 10%. But since you are a deductor, you cannot change your TDS rate based on my income. So what I have to do, I will first approach my AO. I will tell him, look, boss, this is my estimated income for this year. And this much of the tax I'm going to pay in this year. So kindly give me a certificate based on my estimated income that this much of TDS can be deducted. So based on my submissions and his review and verification, AO might issue me a low reduction certificate. He may instruct you as a deductor that, look, if you are going to make any payment to Mr. Deepak Bolusaria under section 194J for that much of amount, because I have to specify to my AO how much amount I am going to receive from Mr. So-and-so. So in that certificate, he will specify your name, your TAN, my PAN, the section under which this TDS is supposed to be deducted, how much is the total amount you are going to pay in a particular period. Again, the period has to be specified. And that period cannot go beyond 31st March. So this certificate is issued on a year-to-year basis. So if let's say I have obtained that certificate and I submit that certificate to you, then you are duty bound to deduct the TDS on that rate. Otherwise, the standard rate prescribed under the specific section or the respective section needs to be adhered to. Again, there is a concept of 15G, 15H. You might have heard that form. So let's say if senior citizen go to any bank, that senior citizen can submit a form 15G, and basis that 15G, a bank does not deduct TDS, though it is required to be reported that how much amount has been given to that senior citizen and why TDS has not been deducted basis this 15G. But there is a procedure. Again, there is no annual compliance like annual compliance like Form 24Q. There is no such true up. Now, we have understood what is the difference between 24Q, 26Q, 27Q, and why these three separate returns have been notified. We will go one by one to understand what are the sections which are covered by the respective returns. So if we talk about salary TDS, 24Q, only section 192 and section 194P are covered by it. Don't get bothered that only one or two sections are there. These two sections are C in itself. Then if I talk about 26Q, it's a long list, right? Around 31 sections are covered by 26Q. So the most common sections are 194A, 194C, 194H, 194I, 194J. So these are the most common sections. Section 194 LBA, LBB, LBC. These are the sections which are covered not only by 26Q, even by 27Q. You see, the system is very simple. If I am making any payment to resident, non-salary I'm talking about, it needs to be reported in 26Q. If I am making any payment to non-resident, it needs to be reported in 27Q. And there are certain sections where a payment to resident as well as non-resident is covered by a single section itself. So these are some of the examples. Rest are exclusive to residents. Now, 27Q, 192A, 194E, LB, LBA, LBB, LBC, LC. So 194 LC and 195. These are the most common sections being reported in 27Q. 27Q. So till now we have understood what are the TAN-based TDS statements, 24Q, 26Q, 27Q. But at the same time, there are certain, I don't know why it is jumping ahead. There are certain PAN-based TDS statements also. So form 26QB, 26QC, 26QD, 26QE, and 26QF are the statement which are based on PAN. Vipul, I hope you are tracking the time.
I absolutely am, sir. Please.
Okay. So I believe it's 11:07 already.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I have another 1 hour to deliberate.
So we can go ahead until 12:15 comfortably,
Okay.
And then maybe we can open for questions.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Okay, sir.
TCS, tax collected at source. These are the payments which are covered by TCS. Section 206C is the only section which is in relation to TCS. Though within 206C, there are certain subsections also, 206C1, 206C1C, 206C1F, 1G, 1H, so on and so forth. So again, the most common sections as far as TCS is concerned is in relation to sale of scrap, sale of other goods which has been recently introduced, section 206C, subsection 1H, and the sale of motor vehicle exceeding 10 lakh of rupees. So what is the difference between TDS and TCS? I believe that this topic would have been dealt with in the previous session, but just for the sake of connectivity between the earlier session and today's session. So in case of TDS, it is the payer which deducts the amount and pay rest of the amount. But in case of TCS, on top of the amount of the payment which is being made, TCS is also collected. So let's say I have approached a car dealer and I have eyed on one car, let's say worth of 15 lakh of rupee. So who is the payer? I am the payer. Who is the receiver? Car dealer is the receiver. So in the normal circumstances, had I been the payer, I would have deducted the TDS. So let's say the rate of TDS is 1%. Then on 15 lakh of rupee, I need to deduct a sum of rupees 15,000. So I would have paid that dealer an amount of 15 lakh minus 15,000. 15 lakh minus 15,000. But in case of TCS, it is not my prerogative to deduct the TDS. It is now, so basically the situation has changed. It is the dealer who is going to collect amount of tax from me. So on top of 15 lakh, I have to also pay him an amount of 15,000. So basically the purpose of collecting TCS on this motor vehicle of more than 10 lakh is basically to track high value purchases. So department may tomorrow send me a notice if, let's say, the purchase of that car is not in consonance with my return which I am filing. Let's say I am filing only a 1 lakh rupee return or maybe 2 lakh rupee return. So department may ask me that, Mr. Deepak, though you are filing return of rupees 2 lakh only, but at the same time you have purchased a car of rupees 15 lakh. So please let us know what are the sources of this purchase. So that is the one of the purposes of TDS as well as TCS. And for TCS, form is 27 EQ. Since TCS is a collecting mechanism, again, that is why a separate form has been notified. Again, no separate dedicated number for TCS is required to be obtained. If you already have 10, it is more than sufficient for TCS as well. So what is the entire compliance ladder as far as TDS is concerned? First of all, you need to obtain 10. Obviously, if you have obtained the 10, you need to deduct it or collect the tax. Deposit that TDS or TDS in form number ITNS 281. So it is a challan. The number of the challan is 281. For normal income tax, as an advance tax, as self-assessment tax, we use form 280. For TDS or TCS, form is 281. Though there are situations where you are not required to obtain 10, only on the basis of PAN, you can file your TDS return. But please appreciate, TDS returns which are based on PAN, these are one-off returns. You don't file those returns on a regular basis, right? If let's say I have purchased 5 properties in a year, so I need to deduct 5 different TDS and I need to file 5 different TDS statements in form 26 QB. But that is not the case with normal TDS. First, those TDS statements are required to be filed quarterly. Obviously, if let's say in a particular quarter, there is no TDS deduction, the question comes into mind is, am I supposed to file the TDS return? So answer may not be straight. It may be yes, it may be no. Because there are certain transactions which are required to be mandatorily reported even if there is no TDS deduction. Though the standard thumb rule is TDS returns are required to be or supposed to be filed only when there is a TDS deduction. But there may be a situation where there are certain transactions, let's say section 194C6, 15G, 15H cases are required there, 197A cases are there. So in those cases, even if TDS is not deducted, you need to report those transactions. And for that purpose, TDS statement is required to be filed. Though late fee may not be applicable if let's say you file that TDS statement late. So that is not my topic of today. So obtain the 10, deduct the TDS or collect the TCS, deposit it with the government within the time allowed. And obviously at the end of the quarter, you need to collect or collate all this information and then put that information in your TDS statement and file it. And just because you file it, it doesn't mean the end of the road. You have to issue you the certificate also, because only on the basis of the certificate, the deductee or the collectee is going to claim that amount in his or its ITR return. So now we have understood what is the difference between all the returns. What are the requirements of all the returns? I mean, which sections are covered by respective returns? Now we will understand, because now we are into battlefield. So now we are going to understand what are the prerequisites of filing TAN-based TCS statement. Vipul, are there any questions till now?
Sir, we do have some limited questions. Do you want us to take them right now?
So I think I can also read. Just a second.
So there's a question from Shiva Shankar Mohapatra.
Yeah, how to claim double payment of TDS made in financial year 21-22, right?
Right, sir.
Though facts are not clear, but I believe what Mr. Mohapatra is trying to say is, let's say I have deducted an amount of 10,000 rupee for Mr. Vipul Jain, right? So I am supposed to deposit only 10,000, correct?
Right, sir.
So instead of depositing that 10,000, I have by mistake deposited that amount as 20,000, right? So this is kind of a double payment. I'm believing. If my facts are not correct, or if my assumptions are not correct, I will request Mr. Mohapatra to kindly correct me and put all the facts once again. So the question is, I'm not supposed to connect this amount of 20,000 with Mr. Vipul Jain, right? While filing my TDS return, I will only report that 10,000 for Mr. Vipul Jain, that I have deducted an amount of rupees 10,000 for Mr. Vipul Jain, and that amount would be consumed, correct?
Right, sir.
What about the rest of the amount? What should I do with that? So in that case, there are certain options available to you. First option is, you see, now if you deposit some TDS, it can be used either for that financial year, or 1 year prior to that financial year, or 1 year next to that financial year. So if let's say the example is of financial year 21-22, the excess amount of TDS deposited, it can be used in either financial year 2021 or 21-22 or 22-23. When I talk about 21-22 itself, that can be consumed not only in one return, it can be used in other returns also. So let's say if I have deposited a TDS, excess TDS under section 194I, it can be used against 194J. It can be used for salary. It can be used for non-resident TDS, and it can also be used even for TCS. Right? So this is kind of interchangeability. So first try to use that TDS within the year. If it is possible, maybe you have TDS liability under other sections. You can use that there. If not possible, then you can always carry forward that TDS and use that TDS in your next financial year. Again, in next financial year, you can use in 24Q, 26Q, 27Q, 27EQ. Got my point? And let's say ultimately you are not able to utilize that amount. The only option available to you is to file a refund. File a TDS refund. So there is a process on the Traces portal where you can file your refund. So basis whatever facts I could understood, I have answered this question.
So Deepak sir, if you could summarize it, are we suggesting that whatever balance remains unconsumed in the challan, they could not only be spread across quarters in the same financial year,
right,
but also to the immediate next financial year across different sections?
Not only immediate financial year, but even the immediate previous financial year.
And across sections.
Across sections.
Okay.
Section, which are, though, you see, that deduction needs to be connected with that TAN only.
Right, boss.
It may be possible that I have 15 TAN. Right? I have 15 TAN. So I can't say that, okay, I have deposited this amount in A TAN. So can I use it against B TAN? No. So liability of A TAN can be used in the fashion you have just described. Again, it can't be used against your PAN liability, whether it is of normal tax liability or whether TDS liability, because those are separate procedures altogether.
Right, sir.
So there may be a situation that, let's say, you have actually mentioned wrong TAN. So instead of mentioning it for A, I have mentioned B. So the only option available to you is to approach your AO and get that challan corrected. Though it's a very cumbersome process. It's very cumbersome process because it depends. Because two AOs are involved there. One for A and one for B. If let's say AO A is in Delhi and AO B is in Chennai, so you can imagine how much to and fro it is required, right?
So as it is, we keep receiving a lot of feedback from the SSC side and also from other professionals that amending anything on TDS is a very difficult task.
Sorry?
As it is, we keep receiving a lot of feedback from the professional side and also from the client side that amending anything on the TDS portal is any which way a very difficult task.
I will not share that thought. Maybe, you see, there are many facilities which are available on the portal now. Though changing TAN is concerned, it is a difficult process. But if, let's say, you want to change the financial year, though I have explained to you that a TDS challan can be used in T+1 or T-1, right? So let's say my situation is that I need to use that challan in T+2 fashion, right? Rather than T+1. So let's say I was supposed to deposit a TDS for financial year 22-23. By mistake, I have mentioned 19-20, right? So 19-20 challan can't be used in 22-23.
Right, sir.
So if, let's say, you have not used that challan altogether, you simply need to log into your traces. There is a option available that whereby I can request my AO to change the financial year. You simply place that request then and there, and within 24 hours, which is my experience, that financial year is changed.
Right, sir.
Though changing TAN is very difficult, but changing financial year is not that difficult, provided you have not consumed that challan. Even partially consumed challan can't be used. So if it is altogether an unconsumed challan, financial year can be financial change request can be placed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Deepak, sir, just a thought which triggered from your last choice of word, partial unconsumed challan. If I could just take a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a situation, sir, wherein you have a partial challan. The amount sitting on the challan is 1,000 rupees. And best case scenario is I use that challan maybe next quarter or next financial year. And there's a TDS which was deductible, say, to the tune of 1,500 rupees.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to use this partial challan of 1,000 rupees and pay another challan for 500 rupees. I choose to use this partial challan of 1,000 rupees and I pay in another challan for 500 rupees, totaling up to 1,500 rupees.
Right.
So while at the time of filing the return, do I have the capacity of breaking a transaction into two parts and mapping the transaction to one-to-one challan? Is that a doable situation?
You see, let's expand this example. So let's say I have deducted a amount of 2,000 rupees for Mr. Vipul Jain. So that amount I have deposited in two parts. One is 1,500 and one is 1,000. Now let's make this example interesting, right?
Right, sir.
1,500 and 1,000. So total amount I have deposited is 2,500. So now I have many options. What I can do is I can use 1,000 from first challan, 1,000 from second challan. I can use 1,500 from first challan, 500 from the second challan. I can use, I think, because in the example given above for you, or maybe I can make what I try to say is that I can make certain permutation and combination where the total amount of that deductee is connected to these challans. But you cannot take a situation where you say I have deposited an amount of 1,000, but the deductee connected with that challan is of 1,500. That is an over deduction, underpayment issue. There are certain situations also whereby, let's say, take your example. So you see 1,500 plus 1,000, I have deposited two challans.
Right, sir.
So in that particular quarter, I have consumed first 1,500. Now, how I will do it? Because when I'm filing my TDS return, I need to divide this amount into two parts. So when I'm filing my deductee record, first I will proportionately divide the amount of 2,000 in 1,500 and 500. Right? Basis that I need to segregate my amount of payment also. So if, let's say, the rate of TDS is, let's say, 10%. So 2,000 amount means that the base amount was 20,000. So what I will do is first deductee record 15,000 payment, 1,500 TDS, and that amount will be connected with the challan. Second, 500 and 5,000 and 500. So let's say I filed this return, two challans, two deductee records. Return is processed. Now 5,500 I am left with. So what I'm doing is I am using that amount in the next quarter. So how will I file the next quarter return? First of all, the amount of the challan of this 1,000, it will remain as it is. You see, it is one of the common mistakes that while using partially used challan, what people do is while mentioning the amount of the challan, they simply mention the partial amount only.
Right.
As far as mentioning or specifying the challan in your TDS return, the entire amount of the challan needs to be specified, because that's how system will match that challan in its records. So whenever you file your return, there is a process of processing that return also. So what system do is, first of all, it will look at all the challans which you have mentioned in your TDS return. It will see whether these challans are available in its record or not. It is in that 10 or not. If yes, then it will see whether the SIN and the amount which is mentioned in the TDS return, it exactly match with the record available with them or not. If yes, only then it will proceed with the processing of return in the next step. So I think we can discuss it later on. Let's first quickly go through the questions.
Sure, sir. We have a couple of more questions, sir.
Mr. Ayer's question, I will take it up. If there is no scope to adjust against same TAN of previous or same or succeeding year, is it possible to adjust self-assessment tax payable for the same year of the TDS deductor? Sir, I have already explained to you, it is not. There may be a situation whereby, let's say, you have deducted the less TDS, right? Let's say you are supposed to deduct TDS at the rate of 1% or 2%. You have actually deducted TDS at the rate of 1%. So the system will generate the demand, because under that particular section, you were supposed to deduct TDS at the rate of 2%, but you have deducted at 1%. So system will create a demand. But there is a law which says, because you see, the TDS deduction is not the ultimate tax. The ultimate tax has to be deposited by the deductee only. And let's say deductee has already filed its income tax return and paid that amount then and there. So law says there is a process which is called as Form 26QA process. A certificate needs to be obtained by the deductee from his chartered accountant. That certificate needs to be submitted to the deductor. Deductor will submit that certificate with the government, and then that demand will be deducted, and then deductor will no more be called as assessee in default. Obviously, the period for which you have not deposited the amount, right? So interest has to be deposited. I believe interest portion was covered in the last session. Guys, please appreciate that TDS is such a topic that it, frankly speaking, it cannot be explained in its entirety only in 6 hours. In 6 hours. It may even take 6 months to actually explain each and everything. Still something is left. Let's talk about section 195. It's an ongoing battle. I'm when I'm looking at a transaction, I'm still not sure whether it should be in this section or that section. I have to research it first. Only then I'm able to make some kind of judgment call out there. Mr. Mohapatra, I think I have already taken this example that SSC has deposited 6 lakhs TDS twice in financial year 21-22. How to deal with the situation? I have only explained this situation only where the excess amount has to be deposited. So for excess amount deposited, you have 2 options. Either adjust it within the year against any other tax liability, or in the previous year, or in the next year. And if nothing is left, then only option you have is to claim the refund. Mohit ji ka ek question hai that I am renting flat from my mother at the rate of 80,000 per month for business. So, sir, for business, you see there are 2 sections as far as rent is concerned. One is section 194I and second is section 194IA. 194IA. So first I have to look at whether your turnover in the previous financial year, whether it was more than 1 lakh. I'm believing that you are a individual and your business is in individual's name, not in partnership or LLP. So as an individual, if my turnover in the last financial year is more than 1 crore, then I am supposed to deduct TDS as far as rent is concerned at the rate of 10%, and the threshold amount is 2,40,000 per year. So effectively 20,000 per month. So if it is a case of that, then you are supposed to deduct TDS at the rate of 10% under section 194I. You are supposed to take 10 also and deposit the TDS. If let's say your turnover in the previous financial year was less than 1 crore, then section 194I is not applicable. Then section 194IB is applicable. And then you need to deduct TDS at the rate of 5% on this 80,000. Now the interesting thing is, in section 194I, it needs to be deducted every month. But section 194IB, it needs to be deducted annually only at the end of the financial year. So on 31st March, 80,000 into 12, which is 9,60,000, 9,60,000 into 5%, deduct that amount, deposit that amount in a single TDS return cum challan, which is 26QC, if I'm not wrong. So that's how both the compliances are different. But yes, in any case, as far as your example is concerned, TDS is required to be deducted, maybe under 194I or 194I. It needs to be seen what are actually the facts. Another question, quickly I take it up, I think, and then we will proceed with.
Sure, sir.
Lower tax deduction certificate has to be specifically deductive-wise or PAN-wise. You see, what is the process of obtaining a TDS lower deduction? It is the deductive which obtains the LDC, not the deductor. So let's say if I'm paying an amount to 10 people, and out of those 10 people, 5 people would like to have the LDC, then all those 5 deductees needs to apply for LDC individually. And obviously, when that deductee is going to file a request for LDC, it needs to be at his PAN level. So for his PAN, he will file the LDC. While filing the application, which is Form 13, while filing the application with the AO, he will definitely specify all the deductors' name and TAN and the amount which he is going to get. So on basis of that, then AO will issue a certificate. Let's say, being a chartered accountant, I have, let's say, 20 clients. So I approach my AO saying that, okay, I am going to receive such and such amount from this such and such clients, 20 clients, kindly issue me a certificate. So what AO will do is, AO will issue me 20 certificates for each deductor separately. Earlier, it used to be the single certificate. Now, since the entire process is system driven, so that's why system generate 20 certificates for different TANs, for each TAN respectively. I will also show you one sample LDC also, right? So already we are 11:34. So what are the details required to file my TDS statement? First, obviously, when you are going to file your TDS statement, you need to have the name and PAN of the person for whom you have deducted the TDS, right? Because unless and until you report that PAN, how that person is going to claim that amount as TDS in its income tax return? There may be a situation that the person doesn't have the PAN. In that case, section 206AA will trigger in. And then I will deduct the TDS at the rate of 20%, at the rate of minimum 20%. But that person will not be able to claim any credit, because unless and until there is a PAN, I can't issue the Form 16A or I can't issue the TDS certificate. So that is why it is very much required that the name of the person and the TAN. Even though TAN is the prerequisite, we can pull out name of the person basis TAN only. And I will also show you how to verify those PANs on Traces portal. So let's say I have deducted TDS of Vipul or let's say Smita. So I need to have name and PAN of the Smita, right? Prior to deducting TDS or prior to making the payment, I will approach Smita telling her, ma'am, please give me your PAN. Though there are, again, that is another chapter altogether. If we look at section 139 capital A, then wherever you are going to receive any payment from any deductor, you are also supposed to provide your PAN to your deductor, right? So there are certain interplays with various sections. Now, if I'm going to pay any amount to Smita, obviously I'm going to deduct TDS under various sections. It may happen that I'm paying rent to Smita and I'm also paying professional fee to Smita. So rent is covered by section 194C and professional fee is covered by section 194J. Both have a different play altogether. Section 194J has a different threshold. Section 194J has a different threshold. So I need to first, when I'm filing my TDS return, both these transactions needs to be separated and reported separately. So section 194J transactions are reported separately and section 194C transactions are reported separately, though it is in one return itself. So this information I need, the name of the person, the PAN of the person, the amount which I have paid, basis which I have deducted the TDS or may not have deducted the TDS, the date on which I have made that payment or credited the account of that person. If the TDS has been deducted, what is the rate of TDS? Because whenever I specify section 1, let's say I specify section 194J, system will ask me, sir, please let me know what is the rate of TDS. Again, for 194J, there are two rates of TDS. One is 2%, one is 10%. Again, TDS return has taken care of that. So if let's say there is a rate of 190, there are two codes which you need to specify within section 194J. One is 194JA, 94JA, and another one is 94JB. That's how system will understand under which particular provision of section 194J this transaction is being reported. There is a long list of codes. Again, 194IA, 194IA, 194IB. I'm not talking about section 194IA. Within 94IA, 194I, there are two codes within 26Q. We will go into that. So, name, PAN, date of the payment, amount of the payment, rate of TDS, amount of TDS. This is the basic information, guys. This needs to be with you. And obviously, unless and until you deposit the tax, how can you file the return? Though I can demonstrate that by entering the fictitious information, I can file the return. But system is very smart. System is very smart. The moment you file your return and it is processed by the system, automatically, since those challans are not present in the system, immediately demand will be generated. And let me tell you, you may even be prosecuted if, let's say, you have not deposited the amount. So, deductee information and challan information. These are the two basic information which is required in any TDS or TCS return, whether it is of salary, whether it is of 26QB, non-resident payment 26Q, or TCS return also. Tax, deducting, tax, collecting, simple. PAN verification, I have already said that if you don't have the PAN or the PAN which is in your possession, it is not correct. Then because of section 206 AA, capital AA, the minimum rate of TDS becomes 20%. So if let's say in a particular section 194C, rate of TDS 2%, but because of operation of section 206 AA, it will become 20%. So it is in the interest of the deductee again to give you the PAN. I think there are certain errors in numbering. It should have been 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. Anyway. There is a situation, you have the deduct information, you have the payment information, but the tax was not deducted. Why? Because the person, the payee, he has furnished you either Form 15G or 15H or a declaration under section 194C6 or a low deduction certificate also. He has already approached his AO and obtained a certificate of zero rate. Though practically 0% LDCs are not issued. It may be even 0.01% or 0.01% is the lowest number. It may be on for 0.01%. But I have not seen in the last 10 years any certificate issued by AO for 0%. But 15G, 15H, and then declaration under section 194C6, those are the cases where even though payment has been made, but TDS has not been deducted. There may be a situation where I've made the payment, but the TDS has not been deducted because that payment is within the threshold limit. So let's say I paid a professional fee of rupees 20,000 to Vipuljan. As per section 194J, no TDS is required unless and until the amount of the payment, professional payment, within an entire financial year is more than 30,000. So till 20,000, I am not required to deduct any TDS. Though reporting of this transaction, which I am talking about, where amount is below threshold limit, is optional. Is optional. It is not mandatory to mention that a number in your TDS return. But as a principle, as a process, I follow that. We specify those amounts where TDS has not been deducted because of threshold limit. So again, in in those situations, certain flag needs to be mentioned because you need to tell system why you have not deducted this TDS. There is a long list. In the next couple of slides, I will show you the entire list of flags which are required. And not only flag, if let's say there is a case of LDC which has been obtained from AO, you need to specify that LDC's number also. Because system will match that LDC number which is available in its system. So tomorrow, you cannot fool the system that, okay, I have obtained this LDC from Mr. XYZ. System will say, hold on, boss. The number which you have specified in your TDS return, it is not matching with my record. So either correct this number, revise your return, or correct your return, or I am creating this demand, kindly deposit it. Right? Section 206AA, I have already explained. Section 206AB. You see, this section has been recently introduced 1 year back. There are situations where people have obtained PAN, but they are not filing returns. They are not filing returns. So there are certain parameters, if we talk about section 206AB, that if a person has not filed the return for 2 consecutive years, and the amount of TDS or TCS which was deducted for that particular person in any of the financial year is more than 50,000, then that person will become a specified person. If so is the case of, let's say, I have made some payment to Vipuljan and Vipul has not filed his return for the last many financial year, even though he has the PAN. If PAN is there, section 206AA will not trigger. But he has not filed the return, and the TDS amount of Vipuljan in the last couple of financial years is always more than 50,000. Though he may or may not be required to file the income tax return, right? But since the amount of TDS is more than 50,000, so that's why they brought in the provision of section 206AB, telling deductor that, boss, if so is the case, kindly deduct TDS at double of the rate which is required. So if payment is of professional fee, instead of 10%, it will become 20%. It will become 20%. If TDS rate is, let's say, 30%, it will become 60% in case of lotteries. 60%. And the minimum is 5%. So section 194C, either 1% or 2%, it will automatically become 5%. So there is a compliance report which is available on my dashboard. I can simply specify or enter PAN or Vipul, and immediately system will tell me whether Vipul is a specified person under section 206AB or not. If Vipul is a specified person, I need to deduct TDS at double of the rate, or if not, then जैसे चल रहा है वैसे चलने दो. And finally, RPU and FPU. What is RPU? Obviously, in order to prepare any electronic return or electronic statement, you need to have some kind of software. And that software is called as Return Preparation Utility, RPU. Right? There are many commercial RPUs available in the market. Even your income tax filing software is an RPU only. Right? Or you can always download free of cost software from NSDL's website. NSDL now it is called as Protein. खाने वाला protein नहीं, Protein. And obviously, once a file is generated from that return preparation utility, RPU, there is another utility which is called as FVU. So what FVU basically does is, it basically checks your entire return, whether PAN is properly constructed or not, TAN is properly mentioned there or not, right? Addresses are there or not, proper flags have been placed or not. Are there any errors in your return or not? So it's a first level check basically. So instead of getting heartburn later on, so you can very well check whether your return is correct at the first stage itself or not. So it will avoid unnecessarily demand, unnecessarily correction in the future. And if everything is in order, it will create a file which is called as FView file, and it's an encrypted file. And only that file can be filed with the department. And that is the return file basically. Flags. When either no TDS is deducted, or lower TDS as it was supposed to be, or higher TDS maybe because of section 206AA, 206AB. If these are the cases, if the situation is not normal, you need to specify the flag. Why there is an exception? You can call it as an exception flags also, right? These are the flags. If let's say lower deduction or no deduction is on account of LDC, specify A. The moment you specify A, system will also ask you, please sir, kindly provide LDC number. 15G, 15H. But again, 15G, 15H is not applicable in each and every section. So system will also verify if let's say you have, if you say the section is 194J, TDS was supposed to be deducted under section 194J, and then you specify flag A, system will throw an error. FView will throw an error. That boss, section 194J, 15J, 15H is not applicable. So either change the section or remove the flag. TDS was deducted at the rate of 20%, or maybe the PAN you have mentioned is not correct. FView will also check this part, that the PAN which you have mentioned in the return, it is correctly constructed or not. It is not going to check it with the ITD database whether the PAN actually is correct or cancelled or so and so forth, but it will merely check whether first digits are alphabet and then P, T, C. I believe construct of PAN was discussed by Vikas in the last session, so I'm not going into that. Right? So C flag is there, then D, then E. So ABC are the most common used flags. Similarly, Y and T are one of the most common used flags. Right? So if let's say in the example I had given you, I have made a payment of 20,000 to Vipul Jain and no TDS was deducted because of threshold limit. So in that case, I have to select Y flag. Right? Section 194C6 case is there. I have made some payment to transporter and transporter had given me a declaration that he has less than 10 trucks and he has the valid PAN. So in that scenario, because of section 194C6, I am not supposed to deduct any TDS. If so is the case, I need to select flag T. Select flag T. Like this. So in totality, there are 15 flags. So I have already explained, if flag A is used, it is mandatory to provide system generated alphanumeric lower deduction certificate number, right? And this is how it looks like. The certificate of 13th of April, it is issued by AO TDS. You see, again, if we talk about AO doesn't mean your regular AO. AO mean your TDS AO, your TDS AO. So a certificate, if you look at the certificate, just a sec. Can you see the pointer? Okay. So this is the issuing authority. This is the alphanumeric system generated LDC certificate number. Then date of certificate. TAN or PAN of the deductor, name of the deductor, address of the deductor, and then the instruction. The undersigned, it means the AO. Undersigned hereby authorize you to pay or credit any payment covered under so and so section which are mentioned below. Now, if we look at below table, you will see this is the certificate number of the deductee, PAN of the deductee, name of the deductee, section under which this payment needs to be, this certificate covers which section, right? Nature of the payment, total amount. So the total amount mentioned here is 2 crore 1 lakh. 2 crore 1 lakh 97,002 rupees. So till 2 crore and whatever amount mentioned in the certificate, I can deduct an amount as per the rate specified in this certificate. So let's say I have made a payment of 2 crore 30 lakh. And in return, I have said, okay, I made a payment of 2 crore 30 lakh and I have deducted an amount of at the rate of 0.1%. System will throw a demand. Why? Because the certificate has empowered you only till 20197,002. Beyond that, any deduction has to be at the normal rate only. At the rate of normal rate only. So what I would have to do is I have to split this 2 crore 30 lakh into two parts. One is 20197,002 at the rate of 0.1%. Flag A, certificate number. Second row, 2 crore 30 lakh minus whatever amount mentioned above at the normal rate, and deposit the TDS, so on and so forth. So that again, if let's say date of the payment, if I'm going to specify, let's say payment I made only of 20197,002. And that payment was made on 12th of April, not 13th of April, on 12th of April. System will also again throw the demand. Why? Because the payment has not been made within the validity period. So again, everything mentioned in this certificate is very, very important as far as TDS is concerned. So how to register my TAN on the e-filing portal? You see, registering TAN on e-filing portal, I think I can, let me first show you the screenshot, then I will give you the live demo. For TAN registration on e-filing portal is your incometax.gov.in. First, you need to jump to the traces. On traces, you go to register as new user, select deductor, then mention your TAN. The moment you mention your PAN, it will also ask you, because on traces, as a taxpayer also you can register, as a deductor you can register. So the moment you enter your PAN, it will also ask you whether you are a taxpayer or deductor. You select deductor. The moment I select deductor, this screen will appear. Then I have to select the category, whether you are a firm, whether you are a company, local authority, so on and so forth. You have to specify PAN and the PAN of the authorized person. And the PAN of the authorized person. So let's say being an individual, I have obtained a TAN. Then TAN and my PAN needs to be mentioned. And after that, I will click on redirect to e-filing website. The moment I click on that, it will say, I'm taking an example. that you cannot register on Traces at present. Why? Because in order to register yourself on Traces, one TDS statement needs to be filed beforehand. Otherwise, Traces will not allow you to register. But you can register yourself on e-filing website. But in order to register on the e-filing website again, the route is through Traces. You cannot directly register on e-filing website. Can I fetch water?
Absolutely, sir, please.
Okay. I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you are. You're audible, sir.
Okay. So I will move further. So system will take you to Traces, income tax e-filing portal. Please make sure that pop-up are enabled. If pop-ups are not enabled, this screen will not start. So what you have to mention here is the very basic details. TAN, you see TAN and name, it is already pre-populated from the e-file Traces website. So you need not specify it here. Then PAN, you have to specify the name exactly as per PAN. You have to specify. If there is any error in the name which is as per PAN record and which you have mentioned here, it will throw error roll, right? It will not continue. In the next screen, you have to basically enter the details of the person who is the authorized person, his PAN, name, date of birth, whether that person is a male or female, etc. And in the next screen, the email or contact information of the deductor as well as of the authorized person, right? If you see primary mobile number, you see again this information, this registration information is like any other registration. If you register your PAN also, similar kind of information is asked for. So it's again not a new thing altogether. It's a basic thing. Only the process is different if we talk about PAN registration on e-filing portal, correct? Like this. And finally, like any normal registration, OTPs are sent to your mobile as well as your email ID. Specify those OTPs and then your TAN is registered. But that is not the last step. There is another step as far as TAN registration is concerned. If you remember, initially we had also specified that the PAN of organization is also available. Now the question is whether the PAN you have specified, is it related to your organization only or some other organization? How to verify? You see, after entering these OTPs, a request is generated in the PAN account that such TAN has been registered, which has been whosoever is applying for registration is saying that this TAN belongs to your PAN. Whether it is correct or not, kindly approve it or reject it. So I will go to my PAN account and then I will approve that registration. So at the moment I approve that registration, my TAN account on e-filing portal will get activated. Any question, Vipul? Okay.
No, sir, not so far.
Your hand movement thought I thought that there are some questions.
No, sir, I was relating to what you were conversing, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And now we will see the first live demo of the TDS payment through ITD portal. And then we will see the live demo of preparation of e-filing of TDS return. I will stop the screen sharing here and I will reshare a separate window. Okay. In the meantime, there is one question from Karthik from Coimbatore. Sir, LDC certificate amount specified in the CTFT. I am not understanding what is CTFT.
So CTFT would probably mean certificate.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. I may not be aware of this lingo, CTFT, because this term is never used in the practice. CTFT. There are certain abbreviations which are used, but not CTFT. Is cumulative or for a single payment? Sir, it's a very good question, Karthik. It is a cumulative payment, right? I will also show you if time permits. If let's say you are making payments in various quarters, how that amount is consumed? How can you check how much of the amount out of this cumulative amount has been consumed? So let's say the certificate has been issued to me for 1 crore. So in first quarter, I can use 25 lakh out of it. In second quarter, I can use 25 lakh out of it. In third quarter, I can even use 30 lakh out of it till that amount is exhausted. So it is a cumulative amount. It is not for a single payment. It's like an impressed account. You issue an amount, you keep consuming it. And the same principle of impressed. Why I'm using the impressed? Impressed is a word which every budding chartered accountant knows very well, right? If you don't, then I believe you are not at the right spot, right? It's like an impressed account only. Even in challan, how it is like an impressed? You see, we discussed that a challan can be used across various sections, across various periods, across 3 financial years also. How system will keep track of that? That's how impressed accounting comes into picture. You deposit the challan, system will keep track of that. Okay, out of this challan, this much of amount has been consumed in 24Q, quarter 1, 21-22. This much of amount consumed in 26Q, quarter 2, 22-23. This much of amount has been consumed in 27EQ, quarter 1, 2021-21. Till the time that entire amount is exhausted. I will also show you one screen where I can very well see how the challan's consumption is shown. How challan consumption is shown. I will show you that also, if time permits. I think there are not much of questions. So I think we can do that also.
Yes,
maybe. Not sure, but maybe.
Sure, sir.
Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. Okay, can you see it?
Now we can, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just popped up.
Oh, I think I need to close it. Okay. Let me put off other windows which are of no use. So we are on the home page of our e-filing portal. So what I will do is I will first log in. Let me pull out the login information. So we'll click on login. So enter your TAN and your password. So if you look at the profile, you will see that it is basically a TAN based login. It is a TAN based login, right? So first demo is of payment. So I will go to e-file after logging to the portal, e-pay tax. You see there are three options in order to pay tax as far as portal V 2.0 is concerned. First option is you log into the portal and you pay the challan from there. You don't log into the portal, there is a separate process. Then in that case, you need to specify the PAN or TAN as the case may be. Mobile number, on mobile number, you will receive the OTP. Only when the OTP is verified, then payment screen will be shown to you. Then you can make the payment. And third option is you can directly log into your bank's website if the bank has given you that option and make the payment of TDS challan from there itself. Right? So in this demo, we are going to show how we will log in and how we can make the payment of TDS from there. So I will go to e-pay tax. Right? You see there are three sub tabs there. Save drafts. So I can start a new payment, but in the middle of that payment, I can very well save it and then I can resume it later on. These are the generated challans. These are challan which have, though are not in draft, have been generated, but have not been paid. So draft, next stage is the generated challan, and finally the payment history. If you see, this is the payment history. If you look at these three challan, deposited on 7th October, 9th of September, and 9th of September, these challan were actually not paid on this e-filing portal. These were paid through the Alta system. I told you in the beginning that Alta system is going to be disbanded in maybe 6 months down the line, because right now many banks have been shifted to e-filing portal, and there are certain banks which are still on the Alta's portal. They are being migrated one by one. And if you look at the banks, these are the banks which have already been migrated to this new e-filing portal. State Bank of India has not been migrated, and there are a couple of banks which are still left on Alta system. The moment those banks are also migrated to new e-filing portal, Alta's portal will be stopped. No more payment on Alta's system. And that is why all challans as well as the challan which are being deposited through this portal are being shown here. And the challan, one of the things which is required to file your TDS return is a challan file. What challan file is there? What is the purpose of challan file? You see, when we prepare the TDS return and run it through the file verification utility, one of the checks is the challan verification. So how those challans are verified? Those challans are checked or verified against this challan file only. I will also show you how to download it. Let's first concentrate on the new payment. Click on the new payment. You see, pay TDS. Before that, you need to select for which assessment year you would like to make the payment. So let's say I've selected 23-24, correct? I will proceed with. Now, there are 57 numbers of section under which the payment can be made. Just have a look at the sections. Right? You may be wondering, there's a section which I had shown you in the my presentation. Those were less line items, whereas there are more line items here. That is why, because within one section, there can be multiple sub codes also. So let's say, if talk about 94J, there is only one code. But let's say, look at 206C. 206C. Again, in case of 206C, TCS might be on account of purchase of car. It might be on because of scrap, or there may be another subsections also. That is why different codes are there. So I will, let's say, take an example of 94I. I don't know why rent. Let's specify rent only. Let's make it simple. So I click on rent and then I continue, right? So the major code has been, the minor code has already been selected, 200. And again, this code is required when we are going to file our TDS return, right? So you have to select now the deductee for which you are going to deposit this TDS, whether the deductee is company deductee or non-company deductee. Let me tell you guys, it is only a statistical information, 20 or 21. It does not make any difference at all. You can very well deposit the one single challan for company as well as non-company deductee. It doesn't make any difference. You see, it's a legacy requirement. This requirement is at least 30 years old. So that is why those requirements are being carried down. So let's say I have deducted, I selected this one. Now the tax. Let's say you deposit a tax of 1,000 rupees, right? I can save this draft or I can continue. Let's say first I save this draft. So I can go back, e-payment, and you see the draft is there. So what you have to do is edit it. We are back to where we had started, right? Continue. Now, there are many options now. You can pay through net banking. You can pay through debit card. You can even generate challan and deposit this challan at the bank's counter. You can even make payment through RTGS. You see, these kind of options were not available in Altas. In Altas, only NEFT could be made. Only NEFT could be made. Now, the interesting part is, even if, let's say, your bank is not enabled here, let's say your account is in Citibank. Citibank was never a part of the tax payment system, not even under Altas. But because of this new system, I can even make payment through Citibank. So what I have to do is, I have to make an RTGS from my Citibank to the bank details, which this screen is going to show us, and then link that UTRN details with this challan, and presto, you're done. Similar kind of facility is available in MCA. Similar kind of facility, though not in exact terms, but similar kind of facility is also available under GST. But because in GST, why I'm not saying this is not similar kind of, because in GST also, there is a list of banks for which NEFT is accepted, but not in case of MCA. So let's say I select net banking, for example. I click on Kotak Mahindra Bank, let's say. I click on continue, right? I can pay later. If I say pay later, this challan shall be generated and it will be available in the generated challans. If I say pay now, immediately bank's payment site will be opened. So let's say I will say pay later, right? Go to e-pay tax. Now the challan is not available in saved draft. It has moved to generated challans. So that's how challans are moving from one tab to another tab. Payment not initiated. So what we'll do is pay. Select the terms and conditions, agree to that, and submit to bank. Right? So though for a moment, I will stop the screen. Oh, okay. Got it. I believe there is some error from my bank's end.
That's completely okay, sir.
But you see, once that payment is approved in your bank, it will come here. You will also receive one email from the department. So I can show you the challan which was deposited yesterday only by us. Right. So I can now download this challan. So that's how. Is it visible? Challan is visible or not?
The challan is visible, sir. I just had one query in this entire sequence of events. The challan has by default picked the financial year 22-23, but I do not believe we saw any option of choosing the financial year while we were filling the
No, it was there. I think you did not pay attention, my dear friend. If I go to ePay, let me show it again. Right, new payment. See?
Okay. My bad. Thank you so much, sir.
It is not selected by default. It is not selected by default.
Right, sir.
That's how you choose it. Right,
sir. Right, sir.
The beauty of it is that it is already, you see, I don't have to, in earlier alter system, I had to mention everything. My name, my address, my TAN, and so on and so forth. Now everything is pre-populated.
Right, sir.
Only I need to select is the, I need to select is the section code and the amount and the assessment. That's it. So that's how you receive the challan. And in challan, the important information is this SIN, challan identification number, and which is made up of these three things: BSR code, challan number, and tender date. This is the information which we are going to specify in our TDS return. So that's how you deposit the challan. So let me show you another example. Let's say without logging, how you can pay it. So you go to ePay tax. On the left side of the portal, you will see ePay tax. So it is a single screen for your PAN as well as TAN. Basis PAN or basis TAN, the relevant options will be open for you. If you enter PAN, only challan 280 or any other relevant challan is open. If you enter TAN, only challan 281 is open, right? So another challans will be disabled. So that's how you make the payment directly. So with this, the demonstration of payment of tax is over. Now let's start demonstration on e-filing of TDS return. So this is the portal which was the first step in e-TDS filing. So the NSDL was given the charge of creating this entire infrastructure of e-filing of TDS, even though in November 2012, if I correctly remember, no, 2012. I don't remember exactly the year, but 7-8 years prior to that, traces was formed. There was no traces, right? So step by step, everything is being shifted to traces as well as e-filing, correct? So if you go to services, you will also find ETDS, TAN, PAN, everything can be done online today. So we'll go to ETS part. You see, this portal right now has only a limited functionality as far as our today's topic is concerned. Since we are interested in filing our TDS return, so we need to download our RPU as well as FPU. So if you go to this menu, you will see ETDS, TCS, RPU as well as file validation utility. You need to click it on this, right? This is here. You need to download this RPU version 4.3, and this RPU is Java based. FView is also Java based. So Java needs to be installed on your system. Similarly, file validation utility, right? This is the link to download it. Since I've already downloaded it, I will just show you how it will look like. So we'll start with so I have already installed this RPU in one of the folders. So these are the files when this utility is extracted, RPU is extracted. These are the files which are extracted here. One of the file is this TDS RPU 4.3.jar, executable jar file, right? So you need to double click it and you can start it. So I will double click it. Okay, I have to stop the screen and I think multiples can be done, right? So this is the message we have received. Prerequisite for Java RPU installation. I said okay. And then this utility is started. Vipul, I believe you can see the utility.
We can see the screen, sir. We can see the utility.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it can be seen.
Okay. You see, this is a single consolidated utility, not only for 24Q, but 26Q, 27Q, and 27EQ, right? So you need to select the appropriate option for which kind of return you would like to file. So either you can select 24Q, 26Q, 27Q, 27EQ. So we will select 26Q. And let me tell you guys, this is one of the utilities, right? If you talk about me, I personally don't use this utility, right? We use commercial softwares, but sometime there are a couple of situations in my career where I had to use the utility once or twice. But it's a very good utility to understand it, understand the entire filing process. So now the return can be the original return. It can be a correction return. So depending upon what kind of statement you are going to file, it may ask for different kind of, it may throw different kind of options, right? So let's say I selected regular return. Again, it is possible that I have already created some draft of return and I have saved it. I can reopen it, or I can start afresh. So I will first start with afresh. So 26Q, regular, and then click to continue. Screen is visible, sir? Form, challan, and extra one, other services visible,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So you see, if we look at 26Q, only 3 tabs are relevant. What is the form? In form, it is basically the information which is related to your deductor, challan, and then the deducted details. But at the same time, let's go back. If I select 24Q and I select, let's say, Q4, you see already, you can see 2 additional annexures are also open. Annexure 2, salary detail, and annexure 3. And that is again one of the differences between the salary return and non-salary return. In non-salary return, there is only one annexure 1 deducted detail. But if we talk about 24Q, Q4, not Q1 to 3, Q4, there are 2 additional annexures. If you remember, in the beginning, I told you guys that for 24Q or for salary, a true up needs to be done. Right? And this is one of the steps towards a true up. For the entire financial year, you have to specify what is the salary you had paid, how you computed the tax, what are the deduction you have given to the deductee, and so on and so forth. But I believe this might have been explained to you by Vikas in the last session. Just for the sake of continuity, I'm showing this screen to you. So click on to continue again. 26Q. First, I have to select the financial year. Since Q3 for the current financial year is not yet over, so this system will not allow me to file any return for Q3 or Q4. So Q2, you need to specify 10. So what I will do is I already have one pre-populated draft return. I will use that in order to save the time. Filed, opened successfully. Okay. So you can see already this is for financial year 2021. The nature of deductor is company. Assessment year 21-22 is pre-populated. Right? TDS number.
Deepak sir, extremely sorry to interrupt. I think the screen sharing just got paused somehow.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No problem. Is it visible now?
Now, yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So what I've shown you guys is a sample TDS return which I had prepared yesterday, right? So that everyone can save time. So it is for financial year 2021. PAN is already there. Since PAN is not available, so I can say PAN not required. Or if you have the PAN, you can specify the PAN. But PAN has to be the correct PAN, right? Is it a revised return? No, it is not. That's why no is selected. And other details are not selected here because it is not a revised return. Then the details of the employer or the deductor. Why bracket employer? Because in case of 24Q, the employer's name is required. So name, again, name, system, what system will do is, system will also check that the name which you have mentioned here is exactly as per the TAN record. As per the TAN record. Otherwise, error will be thrown. Right? So even if limited has LTD, it has to be LTD only. If it is complete limited, then you need to specify it complete limited. The name has to be exactly as per your TAN record, not PAN, but TAN record. Smita, how many viewers are there right now?
So we'll check and update in some time, sir.
Okay. Screen is still visible, people, right?
Absolutely visible.
Okay. So name, address, right? If you see, there are little asterisks here on name, flat number, state, PIN code. And let's say if this return is being filed by a government department, then automatically, and how I will know that it is a government department, that will be based on the TAN number. Automatically relevant options are selected. Right? Sorry. From here, pardon me. If let's say I select central government, automatically relevant fields are selected. So it's a company. So address, PIN code, these are some of the major mandatory fields. Even though there is no asterisk on telephone number and email ID, but again, these are the mandatory fields. GSTIN. Why GSTIN is required? You see, this TDS return, it can be filed either electronically at your own end using the e-filing portal, or even you can submit this TDS return with the NSDL center. And in that case, NSDL center will charge you some fee. It may be 50 rupee, it may be 100 rupee, it may be 300 rupee, depending upon the number of records in your return. The bigger the return is, the more fee is there. Since it's a service, GST is charged. In order to give you credit, in order to issue you invoice or invoice as the case may be, this GST is required. If you don't specify any GSTN, no credit will appear in your GSTR 2A or 2B. Right? Has address changed since last return? If yes, then select yes. And also file your, if not done, then also file TAN modification form. Then the person. You see, it's a company. So somebody has to sign on behalf of the company. Na? It can be director, or it can be authorized person. As far as TDS is concerned, it can be director or it can be any other person who has been authorized by the board of directors. So his detail, including PAN, mobile number, and so on and so forth. Again, pretty simple information. Jump onto challan. Now, here we have actually deposited two challans. So, pull out the challan and mention that information from that challan itself. Guys, what is important is the total amount. But these fields are also important. But it may be possible, let's say this challan is of 28,710 rupee. It is quite possible that while depositing the amount in my challan, I mentioned this entire amount of 28710 in the TDS portion itself. So you have the liberty to bifurcate. There is a chat message. Okay. I have not understood the word inherently. Inherently, there are so and so viewers. Okay. So, even though the challan amount is of 28710, I can segregate amount between TDS, surcharge, EC, interest, fee or penalty, even if that amount is different from my challan amount. That is the beauty of the TDS system. Because some clients come to us, say, boss, by mistake, we have deposited this entire amount in TDS, though some amount of it was towards interest also. So don't worry. The total amount should match with your challan, and the breakup can be according to your own whims and fancy. I can make it 26,000 and rest of the amount here. I can make 28,700 here, 10 rupee here, 50 here. But the total amount should always match with your challan. Even if you are going to use one challan in multiple returns, the total amount has to be the same. So 10 rupee challan and 28,710 challan. Then BSR code, if you remember, while depositing the challan, I had shown you that there was SIN information, which is BSR, date, and challan number. So it is required. Vipul, if you may laugh, but when Altas was introduced in year 2006,
right, sir.
What I have seen is in many of the challan which were issued by the State Bank of India, the challan number mentioned was 281, 281, 281, 281, and 281.
So they would mention the challan categories, the 280 or 280.
Yes, the challan number itself.
Okay.
You see, it was an initial phase. And we had a lot of demands from the department only on this account itself.
Right.
Though lot of things have changed since 2006. Right? Already Alta is in on its last leg. Right? 16 years. It's been 16 years. I remember I was a freshly qualified chartered accountant 2006. Right? Or maybe 7-8 years I had been a chartered accountant. Okay. So again, very important. BSR, date on which tax was deposited, and the challan number. What happened will, guys, that this total amount, BSR, date, and challan number, it is matched by the system with its record. If any of these four information is not matching with the TAN record or the system's record, it will throw an error that there is a challan mismatch. So in order to match the challan, again, section code is not relevant. If you see, We might have deposited that challan in some section code, right? Maybe 194J, 194K, 194I. But at the time of filing my TDS return, challan section code is irrelevant. That is how you consume one challan across multiple section codes. You consume one challan across multiple returns. Though challan code is mentioned in the challan, section code is mentioned in the challan, but it actually is of no use. And why it is still being carried? Because of the legacy system. Maybe 1 year down the line, we may not see any challan head section code in the challans, because actually it is not required.
Right.
Actually, it is not required.
So even from a statistics point of view, does the revenue department not use this feature anywhere?
I don't think so. Because ultimately, you see, they are interested in money. And that money doesn't belong to them till the time returns are actually filed and the amount is consumed. So till that time, that amount is actually consumed, it is a liability for the government. And government is actually enjoying interest-free money. Right? There are lakhs and crores of challans which are available with the system where there are no claimants. Unconsumed challan, I talk about unconsumed challans, right? So, again, now there is another column in the challan which is interest to be allocated or apportioned. Let's say you have an interest liability, right? So first you need to specify the total interest, and out of this total interest, how much of interest you would like the system to consume, right? This is a little technical part. I will not delve much into this particular aspect today. Just for the sake of brevity, I am skipping it, right? Again, minor challan, if you guys remember, there was minor code, major code I had shown you while depositing the challan. So 200 means that the challan has been deposited by the taxpayer on its own account, sumoto it has been deposited. And 400 mean if some order has been received from the AO, from the TDS AO, and on that account you are depositing this amount, right? So first you need to specify the challans. Then we will jump to annexure 1. Vipul, if you remember in your example of 2,000 rupees, I had given you an example. Example within example.
Right, sir.
That 2,000, I had given an example that your TDS was deducted for 2,000. So instead of depositing single amount of 2,000, I had deposited in two parts.
Right, sir.
1,500 and 1,000, correct?
Right, sir. Right, sir.
So in order to consume challan and to map deductee against a particular challan, first a challan needs to be specified, selected. So moment let's say I select challan 2, right? Immediately challan's information will appear here. Then I need to specify under which section the amount of the deductee has been deducted, right? It can be 194C, it can be 194J, and so on and so forth. Let's take an example. The 94C hai na yahan pe. I will take, let's say, 194J.
The 4JA.
Actually, 4J or 4JB, right? Let's say 4JB I take. Now, the moment if you see there is a pop-up, little pop-up, then under section 194J subclause B, the rate of TDS is 10%. Let's select this one, correct? Now, total TDS to be allocated. You see, system already saying the total, how much TDS can be allocated against various deductee. It is only 27,000. So if you try to allocate more than 27,000, system will throw error before you. So you select the challan, add deductee against that challan. Select the challan, add deductee against that challan. That's how you prepare the return. Right? Serial number, because in one challan, there can be a multiple deductee records also. So serial number 1, serial number 2, serial number 3, serial number 4, so on and so forth. Then PAN of the deductee. Why last PAN of deductee is hidden? Because it is not a correction return. Had it been a correction return, then whatever I had filed in my previous return, it would have been shown here. There may be a situation that I would like to change the PAN, correct the PAN. then last pen and the correct pen you would like to, or the new pen you would like to specify. Pen, name, date on which payment was made, amount, on which date amount was paid, on this date amount, whatever amount was paid, how much amount of TDS was deducted, total tax deducted. It should be same. TDS, total tax deducted and last tax deposited, it should be same. Otherwise, again, it will show error. I still don't understand why this unnecessary column has been given, but it is still there. Date of deduction, it is very, very, very important. It may happen, I made the payment in the month of April. TDS was supposed to be deducted on the very day, but somehow I did not deduct it. And it came later to my knowledge that TDS has not been deducted. Then I deducted that amount. Let's say amount was paid on 1st of April, but it has been deducted on 28th of October 2010. Now, for which quarter we are filing the return, my dear friend? Quarter two, right? You see, entire data has been made with certain objectives. How to throw errors, right? So, there is a different date of payment and there is a different date of deduction. What it will trigger? It will trigger interest for late deduction at the rate of 1%. I believe this was discussed in the last session by Vikas. So from 1/4/2020 till 28 of October 2020, interest shall be computed by the system. Even though I have mentioned the interest, system will make its own computation. And if there is any difference, either demand will be generated or the amount will be consumed less. Right? Rate at which TDS deducted. Let's say I specify, let's say it's a 1%. Right? Let's save it. Saved. Now let's create TDS return. So now I've created one TDS return, but it is not end of the road. I have to first generate FView file, right? So the moment I click on create file, this FView utility is opened before you. This is an FView utility. System automatically picks up start FView utility. First thing it is asking for is the challan input file. If you remember, while depositing the challan, I had shown you one screen where challan file is required for verification. So that challan file needs to be downloaded from there. This is the CSI file it is called as. Select it. Then it is asking for a path where either the final returns or error files are stored. So I will select it. Same folder. Select it and then validate. So file is successfully verified, right? So the immediately valid file has been made. I click on OK. So this folder is visible.
We are still on the Java tool, sir.
Oh, the Java skin. Okay. Now, can you see the folder also?
Yes, sir. We can see the folder now.
So this is the folder where files are generated by the system. 13th of November 2022, 12:45 p.m. If I click on this, double click on this, you will see this form 27A. It is a system generated form 27A, right? This form is generated only and only when this FView file is the return is successfully verified and it is created. The FView file is created, right? Mm-hmm. I will also show you how FView file looks like. So this is the file with an extension FVU. This is actually the return which needs to be submitted. So I will double click on this. And you see the entire information is encrypted. Right? It is in encrypted form. If let's say, if I would like to see what is the unencrypted form, then I double click on this. There are 5 line items within the return. First line item is basically FH record. It is called as FH record. It's little technical, guys.
Sir, we are
13/11/2022. Sorry?
We are still on the folder.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So that means you did not see the encrypted form, right?
No, sir, we didn't.
I will do
We
it.
thought maybe didn't even.
Just a sec. I share the entire screen. So now you can see, right?
We can see
So
the
first
folder
is the FView file. This is the encrypted file. You can see, right?
Right, sir. We can see it now.
Okay. So this is the encrypted file. And the original file basis which this FView was generated is this. First is the FH record, basic record, on which date this file was generated. Original return is there. Then TAN, which utility was used to create this file. So we had used the protein RPU 4.3. So this is the information. Then which form is used, which quarter is used, TAN, PAN, financial year, assessment year, which quarter, name of the deductor, address, and so on and so forth. Second row. Third row, challan, CD means challan record. Challan record. DD mean deductor record. So within first CD, there are no deductees. If you remember, we had only selected challan number 2. So against challan number 2, there is one deductee. So for challan, this is the SIN, amount deposited, and whatever field we had selected, you see, ultimately it is culminated in this format only. This caret, it is also called as a separator. You see, there is a concept called as CSV. Everyone must have heard of it. CSV means comma separated values. So in comma separated values, it can be a comma, it can be a semicolon, it can be a space, it can be a tab. Here, the caret has been used. So it is basically a separator. So whenever there is a caret, it means there is another field, right? So this field starts here, this field ends here, this field starts here, this field ends here, like this. It can be converted in Excel also, immediately, right? So CD record is there, then deductor record. So within deductor record, challan number and serial number, right? 2, whether deductee is a company deductee, non-company deductee, name, PAN, amount of payment, TDS, right? On which, what is the date of payment, what is the date of deduction, what is the rate of TDS, and so on and so forth.
Deepak, sir.
Huh.
We chose section 194JB.
Correct.
The applicable rate should have been 10%.
Right. It should have thrown the error. It hasn't. It should have thrown the error. But if the error is not at this level, and the error will happen, or the errors will be triggered at traces level.
Okay.
So when you file the return, what system will do is system will basically create a demand that, okay, under section 40JB, 10% was supposed to be deducted, but you have actually deducted 1%.
But sir, however, still, I mean, just a counterintuitive logic was,
sorry,
50,000. Just a logic, sir. The 50,000 was the amount. We have deducted 5,000 rupees, which is
then there will be no demand.
Okay.
Then there will be no demand.
Then, sir, how does the system get to know which was the wrong entry? Was it the TDS column or the rate column?
Sorry. Okay, very good question. Very good question. What it will do is, system will do is, first it will compute the amount basis the code you have specified, right? Let's say 40JB has been specified. So 10% is the base rate. So 10% in the amount of payment, 5,000 is the amount required to be deducted.
Correct, sir.
It will park that amount at one place. Then, what is the rate of TDS you have specified?
1%.
It will multiply the amount of payment with that TDS rate. then the amount is parked. Then how much is the amount? Right? So there are two amounts, 5,000 and basis on 1%. Now let's say instead of 1%, I change it to 20%. Right? I change it to 20%. So basis 40 JB, the TDS amount is 5,000, but basis 20%, the amount is 10,000. So whatever is the higher amount, system will assume that this is the amount which is supposed to be deducted. Then that supposed to be deducted amount is compared with amount which you have actually deducted. If the amount is less, demand is generated. If the amount is higher, no demand is generated.
Correct, sir.
That's how system works.
Correct, sir.
So then this FView file, let me save it. Okay. So this is the FView file, right? If you want to file this FView or TDS return with NSDL Center, you simply copy this FView file in a CD or pen drive or even mail it to your vendor, right? And also send him signed copy of 27A. This is one process. Another process is if you would like to upload this return on your own, right? What I have to do is I have to first zip this file. You can see the process, right? So I have to first zip this file, right? So this zip file is created. Now what I will do is I will log into the web portal and then I will try to upload this return. So I've logged in, right? E-file, income tax form, file income tax form, correct? Again, it is a TAN based login, guys, not PAN based. Right? Since under TAN based, there are so many forms, I have to select which form I would like to file. Deduction of tax at source, 24Q, 26Q, 27Q, select this. Then I have to select which form I would like to upload. Let's say 26Q. Remember, the return I have created for some other TAN and the login is for some other TAN. Correct? Then, for which financial year would you like to file this return? You can file from 2011 onward. What if I want to file TDS statement for financial year 2008-9? In that case, you can deposit it only through NSDL. Quarter 4, let's say quarter 2, whether it's a regular return or whether it's a correction return. I say regular return, right? Now it will ask for yeah. This is the file which we had zipped. I will select it. Right? Now, I will digitally sign it. Since this file is being digitally signed, that is why Form 27A is not required.
Correct.
Like in the case of income tax return, either you digitally sign the return or you generate Form ITRV, sign it and send it across to Bengaluru, right? Similarly, if your TDS return is not digitally signed, you need to generate 27A, which is already generated by the system, print it, sign it, and submit it with your TDS return filing vendor. Now you will say, boss, TDS return was for X tan, but you have uploaded it in Y tan. How is it possible? It is possible, don't worry, but I will show you. Now I will go to this income tax form, view filed form, right? For filing till date. I will go here. Rejected at e-filing. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Form was submitted, but it is rejected. Why? Because invalid fan, invalid tan of the deductor. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने कुछ भी अपलोड कर दिया and it will be accepted. Right? There are certain checks in the system. So if you are filing, let's say you are filing 26Q in 27Q, it will be rejected. Financially is incorrect, it will be rejected. TAN is incorrect, it will be rejected. Right? Or there may be some other kind of errors also. It may be possible you are filing a regular return and the regular return was actually filed earlier also. It will be rejected. It will be rejected. Since it is rejected, right? Let's see. You see, no RRR number has been generated. Right? Why? Because the return is rejected. Had it been accepted, there would have been RRR number also. What is RRR number? You see, RRR number is a number which is consumed by traces. Right? It is also called as token number. If you go to traces and if you would like to see the status of your return, you see, though return is filed at e-filing portal, it is processed by traces only. Like income tax return is processed by CPC. Income tax CPC. Similarly, TDS returns are processed by TDS CPC, which is traces. So that is the identification number, that is the identifier which trace is used. You see again, e-filing is a new e-filing portal is a new portal. Traces is an old portal. So there has to be some kind of you can say connecting numbers. So since traces is already using some kind of numbers, so that's why two numbers are generated by the portal. One is the acknowledgement number, which is given by the e-filing portal, and one is the RRR number or the token number, which is required by the traces system. So that's why simultaneously there are two numbers. But ultimately, this is the number which is important for us. Because in, let's say, subsequently, I would like to correct my TDS return and it asks for the number or the token number of the original TDS return. This number is required. This number will be helpful. Now you can even see there is a receipt also. Let's say this is a receipt. You can see the receipt, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we have the RR number recorded right here.
Correct. Now let's see this one. RRR number not applicable. Why? Because return is rejected. Correct?
Not applicable.
So that's how you file your e-return or e-TDS return here. So let's go to traces now. So once this return is filed either through NSDL or through e-filing portal, it doesn't appear on your TDS portal or traces portal or TDS CPC portal immediately. It takes around 2 to 3 days to get this return appear on that portal. Only after that you will be able to know whether this return has been processed, whether demand is there, or whatever is happening with your TDS return. So you go to traces, login, go to login. So I have now logged into Traces portal. After login, if you see, you can see the name of the deductor here, right? And there are so many options in this portal, right? Dashboard, statements, defaults, communications, forms, downloads, profile, right? So let's go to statement first. Statement status. So you can filter you can filter the status of the statements either on the basis of token number. Token number is nothing but RRR number, right? Then basis statement status. Let's say you don't remember the statement number. You can see whether 22 like this, right? Quarter 2, form 26Q. Right? No data available because you see. Now this return was filed on 18th of October 2023 and the processing status, if you see, is processed without default, right? Processed without default. And you can see the status from here. So you will know whether statement is actually processed, the default is there, only 26 years has been generated, and so on and so forth. Right? Challan status. If you remember, I told you that there is a kind of impress system. So from this challan status, I can see how this challan has been consumed, correct? So let's say book identification number, SIN, and period of payment, right? Let's say I say from 1st of July, show me all the challans. Right? Now, if you see, all the challans are claimed. If challans are not claimed, it will simply show unclaimed. So even if challan has been partially utilized, it will be shown as claimed. If you would like to see how these challans are consumed, simply click on one of the challans and this view consumption details will get highlighted. Till now, it was grayed out. Right? You see, it is still gray. Select any challan, view consumption detail. So the moment it will say, I need to specify the amount of the challan. I don't know. I'm just correct.
Wow.
So the moment I enter this amount, actually 4,000 is the amount we deposit every month. So that's why I thought, okay, maybe it may work. Right. So this challan has been used in this financial year, in this quarter, and this is the amount which has been consumed. If let's say I have consumed excess amount also, it is possible. How? Not in one return, but in multiple returns. It is possible in quarter 1. Let's say challan is of 2,500. In quarter 1, I consumed the entire 2,500. I mentioned the deductives. Since challan can be used across returns, across financial years, what I did was, I used the entire challan again in quarter number 2. And again 2,500, again I mentioned 2,500, right? At the time of FView generation, system will not know whether this challan has been consumed or not. Only when you file the return, traces will process the return, only then it will come into picture that, oh, this challan was already consumed. So in that case, you will see 2 line items here for consumption. And for one, you will see matched, and for one, you will see again matched, but excess amount claimed. So you will get to know how much amount you have deposited and how much amount it has been consumed. The only problem with this facility is that you can't see how much interest amount has been consumed. Only the tax amount, it shows that only the tax amount consumption is shown. So that's how you will know how much challan is available for utilization. I have seen so many clients where they have deposited the challan, but they are still pending for consumption. Or 500 rupees extra deposited, 50 rupees extra deposit, or maybe due to the reason that they computed interest as 5,000, system computed the interest only as 2,500.
Right.
So that's how challan gets unconsumed or remain unconsumed.
So what's the future of this amount, sir? I mean, like IEPF or like MCA, are these funds which are unutilized, say, for example, a period of 10 years, 12 years, does it move?
Sorry.
So, for example, in IEPF, any unconsumed amount or any dividend which stays with the banks, it gets transferred to a different fund altogether.
That is in the control of Ministry of Company Affairs. So then you have to approach Ministry of Company Affairs, and Ministry of Company Affairs can issue the refund.
In this case, also, any amount.
No, it has nothing to do with that. You're talking about dividend, and you are talking about IEPF. That is a different process altogether.
But sir, any unconsumed amount which stays in this system, say for example, for 10, 12 years.
Yes.
Does that money also get parked somewhere separately, or does it stay?
No. It is available here, but you can apply for refund.
Okay.
That's why I told you in the beginning that government is enjoying interest-free money of the. If they start allowing consumption across years, not T+1 or T-1, you see, lots of funds will get unlocked. Lots of funds. Even in one of my client case, at least 1 to 2 crore of amount is locked.
Wow.
And we had to deposit interest also for late payment in certain scenarios. Had that amount available to us. You see, even though I can change the financial year, but the change of financial year is applicable only when the entire amount is available for consumption. Even if 1 rupee has been consumed, it can't be changed. So wherever it was possible, we changed the financial year, got those challan consumed in subsequent financial years. Okay. So PAN verification, we can do PAN verification also, right?
Deepak sir, we might have to end pretty soon if we are getting alerts from the team.
So let me demonstrate one last item of my agenda. So students should not feel that, out of 10 he was able to show us 9 items only. So let me show you the last. So return is filed, return is processed. Now the time to file or to obtain form 16A. So you log into Traces portal, go to downloads and select whatever form is applicable to you. So form 16 is required, go to form 16. Form 16A is required, go to form 16A. Click on form 16A. For which financial year? Let's say 22-23, quarter 1, right? 26Q. Sorry. If you require form 16 only for a particular PAN, if you would like to download form 16A for all the PANs, right? Submit. After this is the validation. So you need to validate it. KYC, it is called as KYTC. Fill in this information. The moment this information is verified, since we are applying for quarter 2 of 2023, so the information out of quarter 2 2023 return needs to be filled in. Once this information is filled in, verified, then request is accepted. Depending upon the size of your return and the availability of resources on the system, it may take 4 hours or it may even take 1 day to actually get your form 16A file. So when that file is available, again, go back to download, go to requested downloads, right? Click on view all and you will see, right? There are 2 files already available, quarter 1, quarter 2. So I will click on, let's say quarter 2. Then I will click on HTTP download. And you see this file is available with me. Right? This file is password protected. You simply cannot share this file with your deductees. Again, there is a separate tool which is available from NSD, the Trace's website. Run that tool, use that file or consume that file in that tool, and your Form 16A will get automatically generated. It is a text file, and basis that text file, PDF files of Form 16A or Form 16 are generated. Right? So with this, guys, my session is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Deepak sir. This was really very enlightening, and it's a great motivation to us all that all these students, professionals, both young and seasoned, took time out today Sunday morning. They could have been anywhere else doing anything else, but they still chose to be here with you and I, with the institute, in the pursuit of knowledge. And I'm sure whatever understanding they had of tedious filing processes has been extremely and very efficiently enhanced. We are really very thankful to you, sir, for being around, taking your time out on this Sunday morning again, and devoting it to us and for the learning of the institute and the members. They're incredibly
always for my institute.
Thank you so very much, sir. Really means a lot.
Thank you.
Smitaji, would you like to take over?
Yes, sir. So good afternoon, everyone. To all who are present online in this session, our speakers, our wonderful speakers, as well as our students who have been patiently listening to this wonderful session, which has been conducted by both of our speakers, Deepak sir and Vipul sir. Sorry, Vipul sir, I could not introduce you. And
completely all right.
So, since you are having over 10 years of experience of corporate and consultancy knowledge, so we are highly obliged to have you on this session. And Deepak sir conducted the session wonderfully. All the examples from real life, as well as taking our names also. He was beautifully conducting the session, taking all the queries in between. And both of you were interacting together just in order to make the students have concept clarity to the greatest extent. And on behalf of SSCB, I would like to express wholeheartedly a very thankful session. I would like to express my gratitude for this wonderful session taken by both of you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deepak sir. Lovely having you here today.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you. Smita,
have a nice day.
So much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.